Can we all agree that Nico's decision was not a good one, and he's probably going to end up at a lesser school with about the same amount of money? But we're going to tweak this just a little bit. We're going to take a look at all the transfer portal quarterbacks that have moved on, or the impact ones anyway,
in the SEC.
In the SEC, and we'll ask you this: hot will be they'll have an impact in the league. Is that this year or throughout their careers?
No, it's either their departure from the league or their departure to the league impacts the outcome of the league of the league. How about that? Impacts the league.
Okay, so in other words, Nico leaving would impact the league. Now, let me make sure I've got this right. I don't think that Tennessee was going to win an SEC championship. So if I go from 10 to 8 wins or 9 to 7, is that affecting the league? I mean, you're talking about more than a game or two, right?
It's still affecting the league because, one, it could affect who else plays for the SEC championship, and it could affect who goes to the college football playoff.
Okay.
So
that's hot.
All right. Nico, I believe, will affect the league. I think Tennessee loses a game or two without him that they would have won. I'm not ready to say Merklinger's the guy. I'm not ready to say McIntyre's the guy. I have questions about both. And no, I think this affects the league. There's no question about it.
Yes, I totally agree. I think Nico going affects the league in a big way. Look, I get the way people are thinking with I get why people think Tennessee could be better off, but Dave, everybody thinks their team is better off with the player that left them. And I'm just going to say, I don't think this is not where Tennessee wants to be. I think Tennessee could be in better shape for 2026 given the situation, but they're not in better shape for 2025. It affects the league. They lose. They go from 9-3 or 10-2 to 8-4 or 9-3.
Yep. Carson Beck, Georgia to Miami. I think it has a big effect because it's my understanding that the quarterback situation in Athens is not set at all. It could take them from an 11 or 12 win team to a 9 or 10 win team, and they're probably going to be predicted to win the SEC championship. So yes, that's a huge monstrous effect.
All right, you ready for my hot take?
Yes.
I'm cold on this. And here's why. I actually thought Carson Beck leaving could help the culture of Georgia. And then they just kept getting traffic arrests in the offseason. So I realized that, nope, they still have a culture problem down there. And so I think they still have issues. And I think Carson Beck going from Georgia to Miami doesn't change Georgia's situation at all because they're so loaded everywhere else.
Yep. Connor Wegman goes from Texas A&M to Houston. I'm going to say no, this doesn't have a huge effect.
No effect whatsoever.
Okay. Jackson Arnold, Oklahoma to Auburn.
I'm going to say yes. Jackson Arnold got benched last year midway through the season with Oklahoma, but then Oklahoma fired Seth Littrell. They threw their offensive scheme under the bus. I think Jackson Arnold was not in the right situation when it came to coaching. Y'all know how I feel about Hugh Freeze, the person, but Hugh Freeze, the offensive coach, I still hold in high regard, even though he struggled last year.
More quarterbacks, hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare. That's hot.
Bo Prabula from Penn State to Missouri. Is Missouri still in the SEC? Can we do something about that?
Is Missouri still in the SEC? Is that your question? Yes, they are. They are, and they actually were in the race to go to the college football playoff last year. I think that, look, Missouri's added 2 quarterbacks in the all season, but Bo Prabula coming out of Penn State was the big one. I think he will have an impact. Look, at some point, Dave, even though he takes advantage of the easiest SEC schedule in a overloaded mega conference with imbalanced schedules, Eli Drinkwitz has gone 11-2 and 10-3 the last 2 years. At some point, we kind of have to respect his offensive acumen with certain types of quarterbacks. And so I think Bo Prabula is going to impact the SEC in that regard.
All right. Walker White, Auburn to Baylor.
No impact whatsoever.
Air Nolan, Ohio State to South Carolina. So you're cold on that. You cold on this one?
Yes. Lenora Sellers is going to be the guy starting at South Carolina. By the way, reportedly, I understand, and you can tell me, Dave, is one of the reasons Nico's team renegotiated was they saw what Lenora Sellers was getting at South Carolina. Spoiler alert, Nico, you aren't half as good as Lenora Sellers was last year.
Ouch. Michael Van Buren Jr. the third Esquire, LSU to Mississippi State. He was a heck of a president. How good of a quarterback will Van Buren be for Mississippi State?
I mean, people debate if he was a heck of a president. He did lose re-election. Yeah. Well, he was dealt with the aftermath of Andrew Jackson getting rid of the National Bank, which crashed the economy in 1837. So, yeah. Anyways, I got it mixed up. Sorry. It was Mississippi State to LSU. I apologize for that. Still not going to have an impact because there's old Garrett Nussmeier around there, and he is just too good of a player.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Portions of the program brought to you by Newbert Collision Center. For nearly 50 years, Newbert Collision Center has been East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service. JoeNewbertCollision.com. JoeNewbertCollision.com. Where are you hoping that Nico goes? Do you have a preference?
I'm going to say this, and I get where Tennessee fans are with their feelings. I hope he goes somewhere that's best for him. I don't like that this happened to him because, again, I don't put this on him. And I don't think anybody should wish ill will towards him because he's being strung along, because he's got I don't think people should wish ill will towards him just because his dad is stringing him along. I think we should all wish the best for this kid. And I think the best for him would probably be USC, but it doesn't look like he's going there. Now,
my personal rooting interest is North Carolina. I want to see the Bill Belichick thing play out, and there's always a chance that Tennessee could play North Carolina in one of those early season neutral site bowl games or an actual bowl game. To face Nico in a bowl game with all the hype leading up to it would be pretty fantastic.
That would actually be so great. I just want to see that, actually. I hope he goes somewhere that plays Tennessee in the college football playoff. That's what I want to see. Now, Dave, how about this? What transfer shook up the SEC more, Carson Beck's or Nico Iamaleava's? Like, from what was a bigger earthquake?
I would have to say Carson Beck because he was on a championship team.
I have to say Nico. Carson Beck's close with the whole Lambeau flashing and everything like that. But the only reason I say Nico is because Tennessee didn't just openly become. Nico wasn't just the first quarterback to like openly get a bunch of money to go to a school and make news for it. Tennessee literally declared open war on the NCAA on behalf of Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah,
and I mean, I can't get over that. But Carson Beck, I think most of us felt, I know people think Carson Beck getting hurt cost Georgia in the playoff, and maybe it did, but don't you feel like with an all season, and you tell me if I'm crazy on this, Dave, don't you feel like Georgia, even now with Kirby Smart, is at a level where they can get a plug and play quarterback at any time and they're going to be fine?
Yeah, probably can. I mean, they don't ask their quarterback to do nearly as much. But it is the times like Stetson Bennett when he did more. I thought Georgia was all that more impressive.
No, that is very true. I agree. And so, sometimes there's quarterbacks that need to just be able to manage the game properly. You know this. That's happened plenty of times in Tennessee's history. I think that sometimes quarterbacks that just manage the game properly end up getting more out of their talent than otherwise. I think Team Martin not being as intense as Peyton Manning was and being a little more managed the game actually brought out more. It brought out better production from the other players around him than Peyton Manning did.
Okay, this does not surprise me. A bit of breaking news, as it appears North Carolina has dropped out of the Nico chase because they've been linked to a South Alabama quarterback. So, wow. North Carolina would have been, that type of school would have been kind of like the base of the lowest he could go. But he's going to fall lower than that, which means probably Tulane. Maybe
still UCLA, but that might be low. I mean, UCLA, remember, went 5-7 last year, and they have Deshaun Foster as their head coach, who literally last year at Big Ten Media Day was, well, hey guys, I'm Deshaun Foster, and I don't know what to say. Also, they have Joey Aguilar.
I'm a little like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they also got Joey Aguilar out of Appalachian State, so they're already set at quarterback. Look, this is kind of crazy what you're saying. Oh, and also their offensive coordinator is is the son of Sal Sunseri at UCLA. So
Right. My favorite review ever of a hire. Well, he's not that bright and he's not good with people, but other than that, he's a great coach. Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. That's RickTerryJewelry.com. Another note that's brought up on our message board that you can confirm if you want to, but I trust Elias there. UCLA was 107 in sacks allowed last year in the country. I mean, I just don't, unless this Nick guy is way more smooth than I think, I do not see this working out well for Nico. I just don't. I don't see how it happens.
No, I don't see how it happens either. I mean, and this is why we think Tennessee, one of the reasons Tennessee won this is Nico has put himself in a really, really tough position. By the way, given what we're seeing, Dave, because Tulane is reportedly out of the running too to some people.
Oh.
It sounds like Nico's team leaked these 3 schools without actually talking to these 3 schools. And it's like, wow, these are the 3 best schools you could leak. If you're going to leak something from a news perspective, wouldn't you go a little bit higher? Wouldn't you leak like, oh, he's talking to Ohio State or something like that?
Yeah. And listen, guys, this is just not the time to do it. Now, this is why Josh Heupel, I thought, handled this well, because he knew that Nico didn't have any leverage. He knew that the spring transfer portal probably means you're going to sit the bench early. And depending on where he goes, that's going to be the case. So this didn't just start on Thursday. I want to be clear. These negotiations have been going on for a long time, and they've become tiresome. And Nico thought he had leverage with the orange and white game, which is just a silly event to begin with. And he had no leverage. He didn't have leverage like he had before Ohio State. He had zero leverage because Josh Heupel, and I'm sure Josh Heupel wasn't able to talk to Nico, which is troublesome in its own right. But I'm sure he told Joey Halsey, be sure and pass on that quarterbacks that leave in the transfer portal usually don't play a lot. Most players don't play a lot.
Particularly the spring portal, yeah. I mean, like, this is kind of crazy that this has all happened. But let's say this. Tennessee, who is more likely to have a plan? Tennessee or Nico out of this?
Well, I think Tennessee has a plan. I think that their plan is threefold. I think, one, their plan is to make sure they've got one quarterback ready, whether that's Merklinger or McIntyre. 2, they want to bring in another quarterback in the spring transfer portal, even though it's probably just a body for depth. And 3, they need to spread out the Nico bonus money.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Everybody, because of this, sudden boost in NIL funds, because you don't have to pay this guy $2.2 million, you should spread that out to the rest of your team. That'd be a way to buy some goodwill for sure.
That's very true. Before we wrap this up, I gotta I have the school Nico should go to. I'm gonna share this meme. This is a great one, Dave. Check this out right here. Let's do it.
Oh man.
Guys, it is time. And for those of you who are just listening, it is a picture of one of the greatest, brightest men to ever lead Tennessee. And it says, "Hey, Nico, I can make you a champion of life." And you guys know who I'm talking about. Butch Jones and Arkansas State, baby. Nico to Arkansas State.
Okay. I'm going to put as our poll question, I'd like Nico to go, there we go, play for Butch. Now we know it's not going to happen. UNC Belichick. And then give me another option.
UCLA.
Yeah, but that one doesn't have any.
That one's, yeah, okay. So Butch Jones, UNC. Oh man, we're being really mean to a kid who's like not actually
Vandy.
But Vandy. Okay, Vandy. There we go, Vandy.
Okay. All right, there we go. So that's our poll question. Our last poll question. Yes, Tavante is a champion for life. You want to play Nico again? No. Over it? Yes. Revenge. I'm all about the revenge and the content. What about you?
I'm more on the over it. I don't think, and if I'm a Tennessee fan, I think most Tennessee fans understand this, and that's why they're saying, and I saw they were leading on the over it. I think there's a little bit of, I think there's a lot of sympathy for the kid. Put it that way.
Still like to see him play Tennessee. I would just enjoy that to no end.